intact. I don't have a problem with you interrupting or anything. That's not a problem. So, okay, so today we're going to be going over the new part association. And basically, in a nutshell, part associations are conditional items, okay? Meaning that if I add a certain part, I can associate other parts that either I want my salespeople to offer along with what they're adding, or I can have them automatically, the parts that are associated automatically add a certain quantity, or have them add and calculate off of other items. So it kind of sounds like auto parts, except for we don't build templates. Every single part can have associated parts. So, and because they're conditional, we can also, it will be determined what parts are added by what you add into the bill of materials, or the quick quote, or the service ticket, or the time of material. So the associated parts work on every single one of those windows, anywhere where you're doing parts. We are also going to add this into the web portal so that you can we're basically building sort of a quick quote window into the portal, and probably another couple weeks after inventory is rolled out, we'll be having another meeting about the new web portal. We have already added the events calendar to the web portal and the implementation calendars to the web portal. So on the events calendar, you can only, you can't associate contacts or leads or anything, but you can make appointments. You can view your e-managed calendar on it, and you can reschedule things. So, and on the implementation calendar, if you have the right to schedule project implementation, then you'll be able to reschedule things. You won't be able to add new, but you'll be able to reschedule things that are already there. So, but anyway, this meeting, of course, is going to be about part associations and a few things that we've added to make that easy to work with. So I've already set up a few pretty complicated things that I'm going to go into after I set up a basic part association. So can everybody put themselves on mute unless you have a question, and then just chime in if you have a question anytime? Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start out here on the view menu in the part listing window. That's going to be your easiest place to set up part association. Okay, so I'm going to go there. And if you have multiple corporate divisions, you'll need to choose a division first before you do this. And I'm just going to go ahead and look up vendor marketplace software. Okay, and I'm going to search for all the parts that we offer. Okay, so I've already set up some complicated ones, like I said. So I'm going to do a really simple part association here and show you how that works. So here we have, I don't know if you guys work with crates and dollies, but we do have a customer that works with crates and dollies. So I'm going to double click here on the crate. And you can see the crate here is $1 with $10. That's the price $1. And you'll see down here that there are two tabs here. There's alternative parts, which at first I think we call replacements. This is for inventory. Okay, so this is if they ordered a certain product that we don't have in stock, but we want to replace it with something we do have in stock that can be replaced with, you just assign them here. So anywhere in these grids, you can just drag and drop. Okay, you can drag and drop from your part listing into this grid. And when we get into the inventory, again, I'm sorry, but we got another couple weeks on that because this kind of happened in between. But when we get into that, we'll go through the alternative parts. So for associated parts, remember I'm working with a crate. Okay, and for every, but I'm going to say that for every 4 crates that I have on my bill of materials, I want to add $1. Okay, so I'm going to take this dolly here, and I'm going to drag and drop it into my associated parts. So you can see it goes right in there, and I'm going to scroll over, and I want it to automatically add, when I add crate, I want it to automatically add my dolly part. Okay? I don't want it to add a specific quantity because I want it to be based off of the quantity of crates. Okay, so you can see here that I can do all the calculations that I can do on auto parts. So I can calculate from the cost. So the sum of the cost of whatever I tell it is going to be the quantity of this dolly part, or the list, or the weight, or the man hours, or the quantity, or the price, the customer price, the cubes. And if you don't know what cubes are, if you're a furniture company, when you import a set, it will give you the cubes, basically the volume of what you're ordering. We also have calc from base quantity. We'll get into that a little bit later, but base quantity is sort of like an extra factor. Then we have, just like on auto parts, we have whether you're going to calculate it based on the phase, meaning it will only calculate on items that are in the same phase, or calculate on the option, meaning that it will calculate on any part that you specify that's in the whole option that you're looking at. Then we have factor, and this is where we're going to do 4 to 1. Okay, so we've got 4 crates are going to equal $1, so that's going to be a 0.25 factor. Okay, you can set the priority so that things show up in a certain order. If you were to use this as a suggestive selling tool for your salespeople, so if they add one part, you want them to offer these other parts. Priority becomes important if you want to say these are the most important things on top. Okay, and you can see here that I have another setting called round to whole numbers. Okay, 0.25. If I have one crate, 0.25 really should equal or this shouldn't even equal $1 because I can carry one crate. So this round to whole number is going to tell it only, or if don't use any decimal places. So if I have 4 crates, it's going to do $1. If I have 5 crates, it's going to do $1. If I have 6 crates, okay, to go to the half. So as soon as it gets to 0.5, it will round up. Okay, so that round to whole number is so that you don't end up with decimal places. Okay, so I've set this part up. Now I'm going to click on it. And you can see down below, I can have it calculate a little bit differently than auto parts. I can have it calculate either by product type, so where it would sum up the product type of certain things, okay, that are either in my phase or my option, depending on how I told it to calculate. And you can see all the product types, or all the product types are here. You just add them in. But what's different from, and you can do this with auto parts, but this is what you can't do with auto parts. You can calculate on one or more specific parts. So dollies are only going to be affected by crates. So I don't want to put a whole category of product type in here because then I'd have to make a whole product type just for crates in order to have this calculate properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my crate into my calculate on parts listed here only. So I'm on my crate part, and I've associated a dolly that's going to calculate only on my crate part. And it's going to do it at a 4 to 1 ratio based on my factor. Okay? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this, and now I'm going to use this part. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make a quick vote here. And I'm going to go ahead and do 27 quantity of crates. Okay, so you see it automatically put my dolly in, and because I had 27 crates, it put in 7 dollies. Okay, because it rounded to the nearest whole number. If I change this to 28, once it's added, okay, it's still 7. 29, 30, moves to 8. Okay, so that factor keeps it from doing that, or does a 4 to 1 and around a whole number will take it or keep it from giving you any decimal places. Obviously, you can't have half a dolly or a quarter of a dolly or 3/4 of a dolly. You have to have a whole dolly. So this keeps that around the whole number will do that. Okay. If I change it to 1, it's going to go to 0 because obviously you're not going to need dolly for 1 crate. If I change it to 3, it changes to a quantity of 1. Okay? Because 3/4 is greater than half, so it's going to round up to 1. Okay? If I put in 13, it's going to give me 3. Okay? So you can associate many parts with one of these associations. So if I go back here, and let's say I want to, let me just make a new part and call it screws. Let me call it blanket. Materials, each, do the I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to search for my catalog again. And I'm going to add blanket to my crate part as an association. Now this one, I'm going to leave blank. I'm not going to auto add it. I'm not going to auto add as a quantity. I'm just going to leave it blank. And what that does, it will allow the user, when they add a crate, first of all, it adds a dolly automatically. Then it'll show another window with the associated part so that they can suggest that they use blankets. So you can suggest they use blankets. So when I go back to my QuickBooks, I'm going to get rid of these parts, and I'm going to add them again. Okay. So when I add that, you see that it added my 2 parts, the part I wanted to add, and then the auto-calculating part. And then it pulls up a window for the suggestions, okay, or the options. So it's either, like I said, suggest selling, or you should offer these options with this part. Okay, and from here, you can just add whatever you want for blankets. And you can see that it adds it in there. Okay, and when they're done, they can close the window. Now, here's the thing. These can go deeper than one part. So let's say go back here, and let's say for blanket, actually, I want to go back to crate, and I'm going to show you how you can go deeper really simply. So I'm on my associated parts for crate. There's my blanket. I'm going to double click on blanket. It's going to open up my master part listing, and I'm going to go associate a part with blanket. Okay? And let's just add labor. Okay? So we're going to add labor as an associated part to the blanket. Okay? And this one we're going to automatically add at a quantity of 1. So this time I'm going to auto add, and I'm going to auto add quantity of 1. Okay? So what we're doing is we're actually going deeper into this. So blanket is not an auto add, but if we add the blanket, then it's going to automatically add labor along with it. So I'm going to go back to my new QuickBooks. I'm going to delete these parts, and I'm going to re-add the crate. Okay, and then I'm going to add 4 blankets. Okay, and you see when I added my 4 blankets, it also added my quantity of 1 labor. Okay, this can go as deep as you want it to go. Okay, there's no limit to how deep you can go with this. You can go 30 levels deep in associations or automatically adding parts. So we'll do one more thing with this, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to tell it not to automatically add the I'm going to tell it not to automatically add the labor to the blanket, but make it an option. So I'm going back to my crate, and I could just go straight to blanket from here, and it would have a part association. So you have to understand that because I double-clicked here, it opened up the part for me so that I could add the association. It's a way to go deeper a little bit easier. But I could just double-click on blanket, go over to my part association, and there it is. And instead of automatically adding, I'm going to go ahead and take it off. So now that's going to be in association with the associated part with the associated part. So when I go back here to my QuickBooks and delete these parts, I'm going to add crate again. And I'm going to add blankets. And when I add blankets, it pops up another window here with my labor as an option. Okay, and you can see it says add parts associated with blanket. So you can tell where you're at. This is with crate, this is blanket. Okay, so then if I want to add labor for this, I can. It gives me the choice, and it's a suggestion, or it's an option to that blanket. So I can add it or not add it. Kind of like when you guys do prerequisites on action items, and you make people say, no, I don't, or yes, I have this, yes, I have this, yes, I have this. It's a checklist of things that you want as a company, your people to offer when they add parts to the bill of materials or the QuickBooks or the service ticket or the time and materials. Okay. All right. Any questions about that before I go on to the really complex stuff? I'll give you like 20 seconds to decide if there's any questions. Okay. So now I'm going to go into something that I did that was a little more complicated. So I did some auto calculations based on auto added parts or conditional parts that have auto calculations to them. Okay, so let me go down here to my eManage 1 base package. And I've already set this up. So I've shown you how to set stuff up. Now I'm going to show you how to complicate it. And remember, it's only complicated on the, it's not complicated, but it's sort of involved when you're setting it up. But to the end user, this is very simple because they're just adding stuff, okay? Or it's automatically adding for them based on what you told it. So I'm in my eManage 1 base package. I'm going to associated parts, and you see I have concurrent licenses. So our base package sends with 8 users, and I told it I want them to offer more licenses. So you see here, it's not set to auto add or auto calculate. Okay? Nothing is set on that but a factor of 1. Okay? My next part is a barcode scanner. So this is the barcode scanner that we use. Okay? And if you look over here, it's not set to auto add, but it is set to auto calculate on the quantity of the eManage 1 base package. Okay, so I'm on here. I told it not to automatically add, but I told it to automatically calculate if I add it. Okay, so the cool thing is about this, all you're doing is adding this ROV scanner at a quantity of 1, but it'll automatically calculate. This is just to add it, then it'll automatically calculate off of this. Okay, so if you look over here more, I'm telling it to calculate on the phase. So only calculate on other items that are in the same phase. If I tell it option, it'll look for this in any phase in the option and calculate. And of course, there's my factor. Okay. And priority, again, you can put them in any order you want, just give it a number. Okay. We suggest doing going by 10, 10, 20, 30, so that if you have to add a part and you want to be in between, it's easier to get it in between. Okay. And my last part is dynamic IP address. Okay, we set that up for people, so we offer it. And if you look here, it's not automatically adding or calculating. It's just going to be an option for people. Okay. Now, if I double-click on my ROV scanner, I've gone 3 levels deep on this. So if I double-click on my ROV scanner here, and I go to associated parts, I've added an associated part of rechargeable battery pack. Okay. And if I look here, it's set to automatically calculate from the quantity of the ROV barcode scan. Okay? And I've told it to calculate on the phase, and it has a factor of 1. Now, if I double-click on this battery pack, it takes me to that battery pack. And if I go to associated parts, okay, it will take me to the car charger for the rechargeable battery. Okay, so if I look there, it's set to calculate from the quantity, and it's set to calculate from the quantity of the rechargeable battery pack. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to change a couple of these to, well, we'll run it like this. We'll run it like this, and then we'll make a couple changes and see if anyone has questions. So I'm going to go back to my QuickBooks, and this time I'm going to add a quantity of 1, manage. And when I do that, I've got my 3 associated parts here. Okay, so I'm going to say they want 4 extra licenses. They want a barcode scanner. Okay, when I do the barcode scanner, it pulls up my rechargeable battery pack. I'm going to say I want 1 of those. And it's going to pull up my car charger option for that. I'm going to say I want 1 of those. Okay. By putting 1 in here, when it automatically calculates on another part, all I'm doing is adding it to my list here. Okay. Because I've told this to automatically calculate if I add it to the bill of materials, it's going to automatically calculate. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and add some of these too. Okay. So you see very quickly I can build up all the things that I have for options. Now, you'll see that the ROV barcode scanner, the rechargeable battery pack, these are all a quantity of 1. If I change my quantity on my image space package to 2, you'll see that these also automatically calculate because I told it auto-calculate off of this for the ROV scanner. This auto-calculates off of this, and this auto-calculates off of this. Okay, so we've got many levels of calculations going on here that are all based on other items that are in the bill of materials. Okay, so I also want to show you that if I just added a barcode scanner, okay, it's also going to come up as my associated part. So it's not that I have to start with the top level part. I can start at any level, and it will bring up the associated part. And then, of course, if I put in a rechargeable battery pack, it's then going to pull up the car charger, and I can add that. Okay. So at any level that you're doing these part associations, if you add the part that has associated parts, it's going to pull up your optional items. It's also going to be your automatically add items. Okay. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to make a couple of these automatically added. So I'm going to go to my ROV barcode scanner, and I'm going to go to my part associations, and I'm going to tell it to automatically add. And it's already set to automatically calculate. Okay. So I'm going to do that. It's set to go on the ROV barcode scanner. I'm going to double click on this, and I'm going to tell it to automatically add a barcode charger, a car charger. So auto add, along with my auto calculation, outcome quantity. Okay, so it's going to do it all at once. So I'm going to close all that. I'm going to go to my new QuickBooks, and I'm going to add the ROV barcode scanner. So you see it added my 3 parts there. And if I change my quantity on my first thing, you see that it changes the other things as well. Okay, this happens in the bill of materials. This happens on the service ticket. This happens on the time and materials. It happens on the QuickBooks. Okay, and very soon it will happen on the web portal. All right. Well, gosh, that was quick. That was 24 minutes. So I'm going to ask anybody if they have any questions. Any ideas of how they might set it up? Anybody want to chime in and give anybody else some ideas? Don't be shy. I'm sorry?
Hey, Philip. Can you give us, hi, this is Jane in Ad Area. Can you give us an example or show us related to the furniture industry?
Well, these associated parts, these associated parts don't do anything on import. These are when you add things. So what you could do, I mean, you can make a part just called labor. Okay. So again, I have labor right here, right? What does labor mean to you guys? What does labor mean to you guys? What things are involved in your labor?
Truck.
Are there sub things that you'd want to keep track of and be able to offer to
Well,
labor?
there's, the toggle shims, all the hardware.
Yeah, we were just trying to think about, like, for instance, when we have to wall mount an overhead bin, we have to remember to have it include the wall tracks, maybe some shims, toggles. Those are just the little things that are often forgotten.
Well, that's exactly what this is about. So on you would have a part that said wall mount, right? And when they add the wall mount, you would make associated parts for all those different things that you want them to offer as options, or that they need to remember to think about, right? It's just like doing prerequisites on an action item, where you're giving them a list of things to at least think about. Do I need? Right. So again, with part associations, I can take anything from anywhere and drag and drop it into my associated parts, and I can have as many associated parts as I want. So this becomes your checklist of things that you want them to add, or at least think about adding when they're doing it.
Okay.
Now, like I said, when you import from Configura for Space Saver people, or from a CIF file for furniture people, this doesn't apply, right? Because most of the time, 99.9% of the time, when you're importing a CIF file, it's new stuff. You know what I'm saying? So the new stuff can't be associated as it's importing. So that's what I'm saying, that it only happens when you add things that are external from the CIF. Okay?
Got it.
Yolanda, do you have any ideas for this?
I have a couple.
You care to share? You care to share?
I got to think it through first.
Okay. Yeah, you guys, this is the important thing is you got to remember about the associated parts is they don't have any checks and balances. You have to remember, I'm either going to auto add a quantity, or just auto add and have it calculate, or I'm not going to have an auto add. But you have to remember to calculate on the phase of the option if you're calculating. This is not going to remember for you, okay? You have to remember how to do this. And as always, if you guys are wanting to set stuff up and you have questions, Kurt and April are pretty much expert at this now, because it's all I've been talking about for a week. And this is all we've been doing for a week. So that's, you call in and ask for help if you have something in mind and you're just not sure how to do it, or you don't want it to mess it up, then call in. We're always here to help you do that. Okay, who else? I know y'all got questions. So let's see.
Phyllis,
Gina,
can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is Gina. I thought of, just as an example for furniture, based on vertical, some filing cabinets, they have to have particular dividers or rails. That would be something that could be something like this, where it automatically adds them.
Right, but you're talking about automatically adding them based on what?
Based on the quantity of filing cabinets that you order.
Oh, I see. So filing cabinets aren't something you import from the CIF, right?
Well, we can, but...
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying about. If you import it from the CIF, then these only happen when you're adding using the add from search or add from, you know what I'm saying, when you're manually adding. When they're importing, it won't do that because it can't really.
Right, but there's some manufacturers that are not on our imports
Yeah.
that we have to manually add anyway.
Plus, if you already have the part in your database and you associate it, then absolutely. You can associate those parts with the part that's already in your database. Doesn't mean it'll happen on import, but it means that you could add it manually to your BOM, and then it would bring up your option. While you guys are thinking, if you have any more questions or anything, I'm going to give you a little preview. We always, our pool companies, our pool remodel companies, customers, they're always kind of our guinea pigs with stuff with the web portal. So we've already added this to their web portal, and I'm just going to show you. And we've also got their implementation calendar, events calendar. So I'm just going to show you really quickly that, so you can get excited about that for the next meeting here. It looks a little different than your portal. They do already have stuff built into it, so I'm just going to show you here what happens when I do this. Give me a second. I'm just getting rid of some parts so we can add them again. So I'm going to go here to add items, and this is kind of the way their stuff will work. This is their catalog, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to add this part, add a quantity of 4. Okay. When I do that, oh shoot, the block. You guys, when this comes out for you, you have to allow pop-ups. So, sorry, let's go back. You have to always allow pop-ups for this website, or else it will not let you see the associated parts because there's a pop-up window. Again. Okay, so I'm going to add this at 4, and I've already associated a bunch of stuff with that. So I'm going to add items at quantity, and you see it brings up parts associated with universal white cement. Now this part I've set up to automatically calculate if I add it to the bill of materials. So I'm going to add it at a quantity of 1, but when I go back to my order, it's actually going to be auto-calculated. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to close that. I'm going to turn in my order, and you can see that that item actually came in at 8. Okay. So then if I were to change my quantity of my universal white cement to 6, and I'm just going to reload this, you see that my parts auto-calculate, recalculate there. Okay. So I'm also going to show you real quickly the calendars here. So the events calendar, this is exactly what yours is going to look like. Okay. Events calendar. Okay. I've got my appointments here. They're from eManage. The thing is, like I said, you can't associate them with sales leads or contacts or anything from here, but you can make appointments. So if I go to Tuesday and I double-click on a time slot, it puts me in a new appointment mode, and I can put in my new appointment with a reminder, an event type. Unfortunately, they don't let us do drop-downs in here, and the description. Okay, and this will show up in eManage as an appointment if I make it here. Okay, and like I said, all of your appointments from eManage will show up here too. So this is the multi-view, multi-day view. There's a day view. There's the week view. This is that multi-day. There's a month view, okay, and the timeline view. You can reschedule your appointments here. If you drag and drop, it will be rescheduled in eManage. Okay. On the events calendar, on the implementation calendar. Okay, implementation. They do things by phase, so and they have a bunch of corporate divisions usually. So I'm going to show you is I go here to a specific calendar type here, and I reload. Okay, all of their schedule is here. Now, the only thing that you can do on the implementation calendar from the web is reschedule. You can't make new, but you can also double click and you can see the person. They collect money as they go, but you can see here that there's the address and the phone number here as well. Okay, and the company name. Okay. The other calendar that we have is that was by, for you guys, this was a installation type. Okay, so you'll be able to break your calendar down by installation type one at a time, or you'll be able to look at your calendar by all types, and all you'll do is apply a corporate division. So if I go here and I reload, okay, this is going to be all of the things put together. You can see they do a lot of stuff here. Okay, if you look at the day view, you can see a little more. Okay. And again, if you double click on one or drag and drop one, you can reschedule. You know, there's the month views. You can see all this in here. Okay. Anyway, this is gonna this will be out for you guys sometime in the next few days. I don't know if you guys are using the portal or not. It's pretty darn cool. This is nearly done, so it'll be a couple of days, and we'll start distributing it to people that want the portal. Okay. Okay. So, any questions about what we went over? Okay, I'm really serious, you guys, that if you want to set this up, call in if you have questions. I'd rather you guys set it up right and have it really work for your people. There's nothing worse than setting something up and it doesn't work for your people. They don't have trust in it, and you can see that it absolutely does work. And it can be as complex as you want it. Any other questions? I'm just going to hang out here for like a minute and wait and see if you guys have any questions or comments, and then I'll go ahead and end the meeting. So if nobody has any questions, thank you very much for attending. I did record this. I'll be putting it up on the web and sending you guys a link. And I hope this feature is something that you guys can use.
Philip?
Yep.
Hey, it's Kathy from Area.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you. Is there a way to have certain vendors, when we sell products from certain vendors, pop up and automatically remind us that there's freight on that vendor? Is there a way to tie the freight to the vendor?
That's not what this is for. Yeah, I'd have to think about that. You might want to use an auto part template that has freight. You know, the auto part template might be more appropriate.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The freight is actually from the vendor, right?
Yes.
So what I would do is I would make an auto part template that has freight from all the vendors, and then you just put a quantity in the one that you're actually going to use, right? Does that make sense? And then the rest, when you create the quote, you know, it always asks you, do you want to get rid of 0 quantity items before creating the quote? So then anything you didn't fill out would go away.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Really great.
Anybody else? I just want to remind you guys that this, that anywhere you guys see a part, except for a line item on the bill of materials, you can double click on and get to the new edit part window now. Okay, like I said, on the associated parts, the parts that are associated, you can double click on. Okay, so you can double click on these and get to the master part listing, and then you can double click on this and get to the master part listing. So anywhere except for a line item on the bill of materials, you can get to the master part listing to edit the part, if you have the right to edit part. Okay, I'm going to shut up for 1 minute, and you guys chime in if you need anything. Okay, so I guess nobody has any questions. This feature, this new functionality, you have some of it, but that new, the new not auto adding and calculating is actually coming out in the update hopefully later today. There's one other thing I was thinking about adding, and it's going to be a do not duplicate. It's probably a few weeks out, but I'm going to add a do not duplicate switch to the part or to the part association, so that if you have the same part associated with two different parts and you add both parts, it wouldn't add the associated part twice. It would just either add to the quantity or not add it at all if it's auto-calculated. So when that, it'll probably be a couple of weeks, 3 weeks before that comes out. It'll be after inventory comes out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting and stop the recording. I will send you guys a link to the meeting. And again, if you have any questions about this while you're setting it up, give us a call. Thanks.
Thank you, Philip.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys.